mid-afternoon talk show like Merv Griffin. My viewers are mostly at night. I should be doing this later at night. Maybe I'll get back on later. But I don't know. I want to be out and about and on the city. You never know what celebs you're going to run into. I saw Adam Sandler on the street the other day. I'll talk about that. My experience with the Sandman. I didn't talk to him or anything. So my viral video is still kind of, well, I don't have a viral video, but this video I posted has got like 11,000 views, and I've gotten a few YouTube subscriptions and a lot of followers. Suddenly I've got over 100 followers on TikTok just from that one video. So I'm trying to get 1,000 followers on TikTok so I can go live. So it's just like, it is like a casino where it's just like, if you keep posting, something will hit. You get a bunch of followers, you get a bump of cocaine by getting a bunch of followers at once. Yeah, so maybe I'll just talk about how I saw Adam Sandler. I did an open mic last night in Fort Greene. That was really cool. That's very loud. Maybe I should get off Houston. I don't want to go bleaker. But these trucks are so loud. The NYPD traffic enforcement tow truck. Look how big that fucking beast of a truck. What the fuck are they towing there? The World Trade Center? Yeah, the Algo, the clips. It's all about the clip. Well, yeah, so this clip I posted was like a real life moment of interaction with Gen Z on the street. I don't necessarily know that I have any clips where I like nail some kind of fucking like talking point or something, which is what most of my live stream is like an attempt to do. But I don't know. I've got to just get it. You know, I need AI. Can I get an AI agent? Hey now, hey now, hey now. I need an AI agent to clip my live streams. Look at this fucking NYPD tow truck. Look at this fucking beast, the PED, the PED. This is citizen journalism, okay? This is transparency. This is what your fucking tax dollars are going to. Yes, I saw Adam Sandler in Soho. Well, I saw these fucking TikTok videos. Apparently he plays basketball, not here, on the pickleball courts of Houston and 6th Avenue. Apparently racket sports are the secret to longevity. I had that in one of my poems the other day. And one of the keys to long life, to living long, something that people that live a long time have in common is they play racket sports. So these pickleballers, they're going to be pickleballing a long time, everybody. Get ready. Get used to it. They're all going to live to be 150 years old. Once all the tech people crack immortality, that's like their ultimate vampire dream. We're going to figure out how to live forever. Peter Thiel can just be God Emperor. Zuckerberg can be fucking Caligula or whatever. He wants to be he's got some kind of Roman emperor. He wants to be Cunnilingus or whatever. Emperor Hirohito or Nero or Caesar. Look at these pigeons. Look at this New York experience here. Okay, so in any case, I saw Adam Sandler in fucking Soho. So I saw these TikTok videos. He loves playing basketball. It's something that the man-child of a generation does. And so I'm just going to talk at length about Adam Sandler, okay? My whole fucking stream is going to be about Adam Sandler. My personal history with Adam Sandler. So apparently he likes to play basketball. And Soho is where really all the celebrities are. If you want to see celebrities, go to fucking Soho. Go to fucking Soho. Anywhere in south of Houston. Although I heard Imrata lives around here somewhere. Anywhere south of Houston. Fucking, to Canal. There's celebs everywhere, okay? There needs to be a Gawker Stalker app. I'm sorry, but Gawker Stalker was a great thing. It was a great feature of the internet. Celebrities deserve to be stalked. I'm sorry. That's what being famous is. I'm sorry, but that's what it is. You want to make people obsessed with you. You want to make people fall in love with you. You're gonna get some of that energy. I'm sorry. People get excited when they see. So I'm walking through Soho. Apparently he plays at this court at Allen and Christie or something on the Lower East Side, like Elizabeth Street Garden. You know, all the celebrities are like in that area. They all all the hot people, all the celebrities are like around Elizabeth Street Garden somewhere, including Adam Sandler. So he wears like this fucking like jester. You know, he's kind of famous for his style, actually. He's got like Robin Williams, if Robin Williams was like, he dresses like my little brother. He wears basketball shorts and like, he's famous for wearing like super long, kind of like ankle length. He wears like capri basketball shorts. They're long. He's famous for this, which is like, honestly, that's like how an 8-year-old dresses. Adam Sandler is basically famous for being an 8-year-old. Well, I think he preserves kind of an innocence or something. He's got this childlike quality. Well, okay, so I heard this story about Charlie Chaplin, right? I forget where I read it, in some poetry thing, I think, but it was talking about Charlie Chaplin, you know, was like at Union Square, and he was walking someplace in the West Village. This was like at the height of his fame, you know, like in the 10s, 20s, somewhere in there, early 20s. And these children would just like follow him. People would just like start to follow him. And so by the time he got wherever he was going in the West Village, you know, he had like all of these fucking people, you know, that were just like, oh my God, it's Charlie Chaplin. Because, well, according to fucking Tarantino, once again, I'm hearkening back to Tarantino and Bill Maher, Club Random. It's my second consecutive Club Random reference. Charlie Chaplin was the most famous person who ever lived ever. You know, like the amount of famous that Charlie Chaplin was for the time that he was alive was like the highest proportion, right? Like he had the highest quotient of like people. I don't know. I mean, what about Psy? What about Gangnam Style? You know, did Charlie Chaplin ever get a fucking billion views on a TikTok video? I mean, but in any case, I don't know. That may be true. And so the Adam Sandler thing kind of, so I'm walking from my sushi place, which I love, on Spring Street. I go there a lot. And so I'm walking up Spring Street right off that square, you know, where they shot Mean Streets. There's like that quadrangle. There's that big kind of Duomo cop building. It's a beautiful, you know, it's like Lafayette. I think it's Lafayette. And so I hear what I thought was a fight. I hear this like, get off me or something like that. And I look over, and across the street is Adam Sandler. And there's like a guy like taking a selfie with him. And like the dude like almost like knocked him off balance or something. And Adam Sandler was cool about it. You know, he wasn't like, whoa, get the fuck off me. But he was sort of joking about it. Like, hey, buddy, you're going to knock me over, you know, whatever. He was pretty cool about it. But there were like people around him, you know. There was like a fervor kind of swirling around him. You could feel like the Chaplin thing. You could feel like these children at his feet kind of like, oh my God, it's Adam Sandler. It's the Pied Piper of kind of this magic celebrity thing. And that's kind of exciting. That's what I want. I want to walk down the street and just have people be like, oh my God, it's Matt Proctor. Look, Matt Proctor, can we get a... You know, if you're not doing that, I don't think you're not really doing it, I don't think. And you know, obviously I'm not doing that. I mean, well, anyway, so I look over, it's fucking Adam Sandler. And there's all these people, and he's like taking selfies with them and shit, and he seems like pretty cool about it. I've heard Adam Sandler is the nicest Yeah, please suggest in the comments. This is a story I just got to, because this is part of my diary. I have to recount my experience with, this guy is a part of all of our fucking lives. For I always kind of resented that. Artists of any type is watching a ton of good films, valuable for creating, inspiring your own work. Do you think it's just a waste of time? Okay, I will go into that because that's a complicated question. I don't think it's a waste of time, but there's a reason why I write poetry and why I work the way I do, which is to inspire people to think for themselves, to start their own shit, to do their own shit, to be more you have to work to understand what I'm saying, sort of, but you also don't have to. You just kind of have to let it happen and be there for it and activate yourself, which I don't think, movies are kind of like the Plato's cave thing, right? They are kind of like the deepest way to put people to sleep. But I'll get into that. I'm talking about Adam Sandler. I'll get into that more. Famous movie star. This is an exact example of why movies are so kind of toxic, because it's look at the effect that this has on people. It's this guy is just yeah, I'm excited for the screenplay. It does look amazing, actually. I'm very excited to read it. Let's do this. We need to, well, so anyway, okay, so Adam Sandler, he was bigger than I thought he would be. I don't know if he was 6 feet tall, but he was probably 5'10", 5'11". And he had, I don't know, he just had this gravity. Like a lot of famous people, I think that he is well fed. He probably spends his whole life eating nice food, going to nice restaurants. I saw a TikTok recently, Adam Sandler in Italy. Walking around Italy. And people just filming, oh my God, it's Adam Sandler. Look at it's his crazy Hawaiian shirts that he wears and shit. I don't know. He's got very Gen Z style or something. Because he's such an infantile, gibberish, blah, 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 I think his movies have actually aged well. The culture has only gotten more kind of it's stupid and silly and, it's his heart. I do think his most recent comedy special looks really good, actually. I haven't seen it on Netflix and I think it's cool that he went back to do stand-up. His fucking music and shit, his songs and shit, phone, keys, wallet, or what, it's he's good. He's good, you can't deny that. There's a reason why this guy was sort of the number one. He was sort of the alpha of that generation, It's Sandler who pays all these guys fucking paychecks now. David Spade, Rob Schneider, Lovitz, they all work for fucking Adam Sandler, basically. Not entirely, but grown-ups, all that shit, Ashley, what? Do I have to put you in timeout? Over 400 plus restaurants. So what? What's the big deal? What about it? What about you're tracking 400 restaurants for what? Look, I'm talking about Adam Sandler. This is very important. Are you a bot? Is this some kind of bot behavior? You keep typing the same thing. I don't know what that means. That looks like some kind of bot thing. Okay, love you, Ashley. Okay. I never really, I remember when I think Big Daddy was the number one movie at the box office. It came in June, 98 or something, right in the prime of my kind of puberty development into adulthood as a young man, whatever, male identifying. Whatever. I don't know if I identify, but I am a male. I can't help it. It's what I am. I'm an old lesbian with Ashley. Just a lesbian, okay? So, okay. Good night, Ashley. Bar PT. We're going to Bar PT to work on our screenplay. Like Noah and Wes. Like Noah and the Whale. Boarding school core. You know, millennial era was so boarding school core. Everybody aspired to be a preppy fucking douchebag because of these. They took these Wes Anderson things and exaggerated them and changed them. Anyway, Adam Sandler. He had this guy with him who I'm not sure if he was a bodyguard. I think he just had a guy. It wasn't really, because he was like a smaller guy, you know? Like Adam Sandler looked like he could take care of himself, to be honest. Which I was really surprised. Like, this dude could probably beat your ass. He's not like a small dude at all. Like, this is probably one reason why he goes out in public with no bodyguard, really. He's comfortable. And I admire that. But I think, isn't he like a Trumper? I think he's like super Zionist Trumper, right? I mean, he made You Don't Mess with the Zohan. Which is like, you know, probably the most pro-Israel movie ever made. I don't know. I think one of the funniest things about the Todd Solondz movies is he has these Israel kind of, it's like every one of his movie references Israel, like in an explicit way. It's like the characters support Israel, or like there's a poster for Israel, but it's like satirical. It's like kind of layering that in as like a base that kind of is underneath the corruption of everything else or something. He doesn't go after, but I mean, even to mention it at all is pretty rare, I would say, for the media. But the Zohan was adapted from probably my all-time favorite SNL skit, Sabra Price is Right. I just think Sabra Price is Right. The energy is just so insanely lit in that sketch. In the Sabra Price is Right, it doesn't really talk about, I mean, I guess those are Israeli characters, but that's not really expressed. I didn't really get that when I saw it, you know, until I saw Zohan, which is sort of like, if you watch the original skit, Adam Sandler has like a small part in it. He's not really, it's like Tom Hanks is in the fucking skit. You know, it's like Tom Hanks is driving the skit. He's the host of the game show. Sabra Price is Right. Robert Smigol's in it. Adam Sandler has like a small part in it. He's not really the Zohan. That character didn't really take life until... It's a peculiar movie. I mean, I did see it. It's been a long time, but... apparently Adam Sandler, the third time he ever did comedy, he moved to LA to like, you know, try to make it or whatever. The third time he ever did comedy in LA, he I guess he did the Improv. He did an open mic, and these guys saw him and put him in a movie. They made this movie Going Overboard, which I've never seen. But they used to sell it like at Media Play or whatever, because it was like, you know, you could tell it was like this movie Adam Sandler made early in his career before he was famous. So it sort of got remarketed once he became, you know, Big Daddy and the number one. You know, he was the number one Gen X comedy guy, I would say. You know, when I look at people that age, and even people my age, it's like the way they talk is almost like informed by Adam Sandler. You know, their sense of humor, making fun of the 70s, kind of Van Halen Corvette, Billy Madison, Billy passed the first grade. He's a lot like my Uncle Bill. You know, like that early 90s flannel. Adam Sandler kind of reminds me of my Uncle Bill a lot. Oh, I gotta get this fucking bench over here. Fuck. Oh, are these people gonna sit? They're going for it? They're like a family. I don't know, maybe they're leaving. We'll see. We'll see what the hell happens. Okay. Live from Bleecker Park. I think I'm just gonna do interviews here. I'm just gonna invite people to Bleecker Park. This is like my podcast studio. Have you people seen Red Sauce? There's this place in Little Italy. It's called like Red Sauce. I think it's a podcast studio. I literally think that they've put, like, in a physical space in Little Italy, it's like a place where they're going to podcast about, I don't know, being Italian or something. Is that the future? Or like P&T Knitwear has like a podcast studio. Is that the future of retail, of brick and mortar? It's just going to be podcast studios everywhere. We're just going to be mutually listening to each other's podcasts instead of having actual conversations. It's all like turned into this monetized, narcissistic, fame building, following building. We have to quantify everything. We have to, everything has to be productivity. You know, we got to be building viewers, building likes, building watch time, getting engagement, getting bigger, getting swole. Like Adam Sandler. Oh yeah, they're shooting Happy Gilmore 2. Well, I wanted to tell him about the open mic. So I didn't approach him. I was across the street. I started to film him, but then he walked behind a car. So I got like a fraction of a second of footage of Adam Sandler. It seemed like they got weirded out when I started filming. You know, like everything was cool. And then like I took a second where I was just watching it. And then I was like, you know, I should film this. So I whipped my phone out. And that was when they were like, okay, we got to go. This weird guy started filming us across the street. But I'm trying to include as many like major movie figures as I can into my vlog. Like Jarmusch, I saw Jarmusch in Washington Square Park, so I got Jarmusch in the vlog. I've got a number of poets, right? I had tea with at Juju Cafe. Shout out to Sparrow. We had a great conversation. So it's been a big week. Adam Sandler, Sparrow. Adam Sandler looked like, because I live in Midwood, he had the same bearing and the same kind of heaviness. He looked like a rabbi or something. He looked like a clown rabbi. He looked like a jester kind of rabbi. He had this kind of holy, his silhouette was like different than I would have expected. His silhouette was like a kind of a, he looked like Hitchcock or something. You know, he had this kind of like penguin, like kind of like, you know, oval or whatever shape that is. So yeah, he had this little guy with him who was like not really a bodyguard. He just looked like some guy that was around to like keep Adam Sandler happy. He was just there to like get Adam Sandler whatever he wanted, or I don't know, you know, like just keep things playful, keep things fun, make sure nothing weird happened. And then so I started to follow Adam Sandler. I was like, because I have these flyers for the open mic, so I was like, you know, I should approach him. I should go up and be like, you know, hey, I hear you're doing stand-up again. You know, I do this open mic. We're in the neighborhood. You know, we're a few blocks from here. If you ever want to come out and do 5 minutes or you know, try some shit out. This guy is wilding out in the fucking middle of the street over here. This guy's just like standing in the middle of the fucking street. He might, you know, he's a cool guy. He might actually do that, you know. So I sort of like, you know, watched him, you know, for a while as he walked. Okay, this guy is like literally standing in the middle of the fucking street. Do you see this right here? I'm monitoring the situation. I hope he doesn't come over here. You know, I'm just trying to make sure he doesn't come here. You know, this is relatively new, I would say, this kind of thing. This hasn't really been going on in New York, you know, in the Bloomberg gentrifier era until recently, I feel like. Like all of the kind of like flush of the pandemic kind of emptied out, and now we're just like on the dregs of like whatever is left, and you know, and so it's like you're seeing more and more desperate people out. You know, the city is kind of reaching, like, I don't know, all the commercial property that's empty and shit. Okay, maybe that was just performance art. You gotta, that's one thing about living in New York. It's like, you do have to, like, know how to move. You have to, like, when I saw Adam Sandler, it was because I was, like, alert. I heard this fracas, and I looked because I literally thought somebody was fighting. It sounded like a fight. It sounded like two guys fighting in front of a bar. So I looked just to make sure that, I was safe. And it was fucking Adam Sandler. So that's, I guess, just the energy that he has to go around with all the time. So yeah, I didn't like follow him, but I was like, maybe I should run after him and tell him about the open mic. I mean, I'd love to be in Happy Gilmore 2. Apparently they were looking for extras for Happy Gilmore 2. Does it really need to be a Happy Gilmore 2? I mean, they better not fuck. I don't need the new Beetlejuice movie either, to be honest. Like, I think good for them for making it, I guess. They want to milk the intellectual property for all the nerds out there that can't live in the present. People are just still obsessed with shit from their childhood. They'd rather see that. But they're going to do it the right way. They're going to do it like, it's not going to be like this other reboot shit. They got Tim Burton, they got Catherine O'Hara, they got Winona Ryder. Jeffrey Jones, I think, is dead, maybe. Is he dead? He should be in a Todd Solondz movie. He's like a Todd Solondz character. Look up Jeffrey Jones. Great actor. Great actor. Why is it that the better... it's like the more traumatized you are, the more talented you are. The best actors, Kevin Spacey, Jeffrey Jones, they're all fucking creeps. No, I'm just kidding. He was great in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And Beetlejuice. Great, good parking. I had Maxie Dean on the phone. That's my Edgelord position. Jeffrey Jones. Great actor. Apparently the guy who played Otho, died, in some kind of, needless accident or something. I don't remember exactly how, but look up how Otho died. It was some kind of tragic mishap or something. Maybe he was killed by his house cleaners, in storytelling. Okay, so our movie's a waste of time. Well, in my own personal life, yes. I mean, it's not, it's just, I have this fucking leg problem because of my tooth. And so I'm waiting for my insurance to so I can change my insurance to get better insurance, because my insurance literally no dentist will take it. And so one reason why I haven't been going out and doing stuff as much is just because, the last couple weeks, I've tried to do kind of my normal going to things. Last night I went to this open mic in Fort Greene. The week before I went to a couple things. The week before I went to a couple things. That's what I normally do. I normally go to 2 or 3 things a week in addition to the Monday, But my leg has been fucked up, and so I've been trying to do that, and my leg is killing me. And so laying in bed and watching movies is just the way that I've been trying to rest, And I don't know, in my own personal, professional, whatever mission that I'm doing, it's I guess I'm just in this crisis where I'm just trying to pivot to something that works. I just feel like such a failure and a reject in poetry land, which is really what I've done since college. Basically since my last quarter of undergrad, I've been doing poetry stuff pretty exclusively. in addition to the other things I do, you know, playing music or doing acting or whatever it is, you know, um, open mic, aimlessness, um, poetry has really been my main, trying to figure out how to make that work for me, or participate in that. And, you know, it's taken me a long time to sort of like, you know, and I've had this whole life in New York. I've lived in New York for almost 15 years, and people think that I'm just like new or something, you know? And so I'm in this position where I'm like kind of middle-aged and bitter, but also like just meeting everybody, and they just think that I'm an asshole or whatever because I'm just, you know, I'm just kind of tired of waiting. I feel like I've been in like the waiting room for my whole life, you know, like I've been waiting for dinner. I'm like at a restaurant, I ordered like 2 hours ago. It's like, where's my goddamn food? There was one evening at Megu, it may have been Valentine's Day, I think it was New Year's, where they just overbooked the restaurant. And it was this prefix thing. Everybody had this prefix menu, and it was such a disaster. People had to, it took people hours to get through dinner. 5 hours they were in the restaurant. And so everybody was waiting forever, and they're hungry and they're angry. They dressed up, they spent a bunch of money. I feel like my whole life is like karma for that moment. Like now I'm just one of those pissed off people that's waited forever. You know, New York, it's like, there's just a lot of activity, you know, and so you're always gonna be one among many, really. And it's hard to kind of fight your way into being special. And so yeah, with poetry stuff, it's just like, I feel like I just kind of blew out in that world. You know, I met all these new people. They didn't like what I was doing. And so I'm just like, well, and it's like, and it's also like, I don't know how to, I could maybe try to get into an MFA program. You know, I'm still committed to doing it in New York. There are MFA programs here, but it's hard enough for me to just even do my life here. I don't even know if I could do both, you know? And I also just feel like I'm kind of beyond that at this point. You know, I feel like, you know, I'm 40. I'm going to be the old guy in the MFA program. But it's also like I need to figure out something that works in my life because I don't make any money, and I don't, you know, I should have a lot more than I do, I guess. It feels that way, you know? I can't get my shit together to make anything that's like professional, packaged enough, commercial enough for people to actually like it. I just do this over and over and over and over again. And, you know, I don't know, a lot of my poetry is antagonistic. It's meant to be disruptive. You know, I'm a disruptor. Because I do see people sitting pretty in MFA programs who are teachers. They spent most of their life in college. You know, I haven't been in college in 15 fucking years. That's like almost, you know, it's a third of my life, more than a third of my life, you know. And I didn't even want to be in school when I was doing it. I just think that's such a fucking weak. But the people at the open mics, you know, it's like they're just kind of soft. I mean, you know, it's like people poetry and literature is like this prim, safe, you know, people get offended. It's upholding their kind of bourgeois tendencies in a lot of ways. That's what I see literature doing now. And people are buttressing that with their MFA, kind of professional life as professors or, you know, traveling, whatever, winning grants. You know, and there's also a fucking like identity thing that's wrapped into all that, which has intensified over the last decade and sort of excluded people like me from even participating or get, you know, and so that's professionalism. That is careerism. You know, a lot of people are very ambitious and cutthroat, and they act like it's like because of their intention to do things politically the right way or do the right thing, or so that's a big part of the game now. And obviously I'm outspoken about it because that's just my point of view and the position I'm in, and so I just have to tell my side of things. Not that I'm against, you know, I'm not anti-woke, they're anti-me. You know, they don't want so it's like that complicates the whole thing. And it's sort of, I've just felt like, well, there's no way I'm going to get into a fucking college, anymore. It's just like that's not the quota, it's like, and same thing with publishing, it's like everything in publishing for the last decade, it's all about, not publishing white guys with English American names. Yeah, what's up? And if you complain about it, it just makes you look racist or intolerant or like a whiner or whatever. Not that I don't support that stuff, it's just, it has an effect on you for, ever since Trump era, being excluded in that way, right? And so then I started to do comedy shit because I'm just like, this is sort of it's like what I'm already doing, and maybe there's a big audience, you can sort of make money, and the thing as I'm doing that, and I complain about that a lot, is I don't like the culture of that either, and I like doing it, but you just kind of have to exaggerate your personality in ways I don't really want to exaggerate. I don't want to be a clown. I don't want to be a fucking joke. I don't want to be a comedian. I just want to. There's a lot of dimensions to what you want to do. You want to be literary. You want to be a good writer. You want to use words you want to, expose truths that nobody. That's what the great writers do. That's what people sound. People win the fucking Nobel Prize. Faulkner. It's like you've got to go deep. You've got to uncover. And so that's what we're trying to do, I guess, to varying degrees of success. I mean, New York is full of writers, which is exciting. Like, I went to Brooklyn Poets yesterday, which I had not been to. I was in Cobble Hill. I hadn't been to that part of Brooklyn in a while. I mean, part of the reason I avoid those parts, I avoid Brooklyn mostly altogether because I'm a reactionary to the literary bubble of what goes on there, and I feel rejected by it. I don't feel like I've never been accepted or cool or, there's a million people who are ahead of me in Brooklyn literary world. And I just think a lot of the writing is boring. It's a lot of people who want to be bougie and mild-mannered, and they don't want to be offended or to be unsettled. And they want something that's like super earnest and careful and quiet and that's just not what I want to do. And so anyway, the movie thing is like a little bit of like, okay, this is what I did originally. When I was in college, I was in a bunch of independent films. That's all I did was watch fucking movies. Criterion, I was going to be a film director. I was going to write and direct and be in movies. And I made a bunch of movies in college, and I don't know if I'd say I was sensitive, but I was just I didn't really realize what it takes to be an artist or to be somebody who just like makes work and puts it out there. It's like you're not looking for approval of others. You're not looking for, that's not why you do it, really. I mean, it would be nice to get that. My movies in college, I was trying to follow the rules because you're supposed to learn the rules before you can break them. And so I was trying to write like plot, story, I read all the David Mamet bullshit about how there's no such thing as character, there's just lines on a page. People want to see what happens next. That's why they watch movies, because they want to see what happens next. So all the movies I was writing were like that. That's not really a good place to start from, like creatively. Like your imagination, that's really what your movie is about. It's like, what do you want? It's like, that's what you have to write. You have to write, things that you think are interesting. The way that people are, things that they do, their behavior. Like Joe Pesci doesn't call it acting, he calls it behavior. I think that's what movies are. It's like you're just viewing behavior. Movies, I think, and plays before that were ways that people could examine themselves and sort of that was the best way they had to sort of like hold human life up to like and recreate like a situation. You know, people, how they act, how they talk, how they behave with each other, almost like fucking a diorama. You know, it's like going to the natural history or the zoo. You know, it's like going to the fucking zoo or the safari or something. You know, David Attenborough documentaries. You know, it's like, and so as technology has accelerated, the stories have gotten closer and closer to just being able to show actual human behavior, right? Now it's TikTok and YouTube and reality shows. The reality shows are dying because people's lives, they're just making a reality show. And so that's Eugene O'Neill now. You know, that's The Godfather. But the thing about movies is there is this whole industry and there's money in it, you know? And it is maybe a dying industry or a transitioning industry, but in New York especially, it's like a lot of the people who have jobs, you know, are PAs. A lot of the people who I've known who are in their 20s or whatever are PAs or they're extras. You know, there's a lot of production that goes on here. They just build all these fucking sound stages and shit. In Astoria, Robert De Niro just built some kind of big sound stage in Astoria. They're building all these fucking sound stages here for film production to make movies, right? To make content for Amazon or Apple or Netflix or and just like a desperate kind of flailing for any kind of like actual, you know, like in poetry, it's like, okay, in my head, I'm imagining that like someday my book is just gonna like become some kind of cultural watershed moment, and I'll sell millions of copies and get rich and famous, you know, my city life book, my travel books. You know, I'd like to think that at a certain point, my vlogs, my live streams, my live performances, there will just be like a breakthrough where fucking, okay, well, that's an interesting aspect of it because I see this in film more than anything, which is like, people think just watching a bunch of movies makes you a film director, like Tarantino. You know, he just worked in a fucking video store and he watched everything. He loves bad movies. You know, he watches fucking Lifetime movies and shit. Like, if Tarantino will watch any goddamn thing. He watches American Idol. He watches, you know, like, The Masked Singer and shit. And so it's like, but, you know, Tarantino, to be honest, like, the dude is just, like, brilliant. You know, I hate to say it. Like, when you listen to him talk about any goddamn thing, you're like, this guy's pretty compelling, and you know, he's an analytical, and Francis Ford Coppola is kind of the same way. When you listen to him share his theories about film or why he made it, or The Godfather, it's about family or this, you're like, this dude is smart as fuck. Like, I get why his movies are like super like watchable and good. You know, it's like, it's not because he worked in a fucking video store. You know, I think that's one of the worst aspects of filmmaking now and just art in general is everybody like digests their own medium. It's like all the comedians just watch every stand-up comedy thing. Musicians are just, you know, poets. It's like, you know, nobody else even reads poetry. It's just like this specialized insular thing where like the poets are just writing for each other in this like echo chamber of MFA programs, you know, at this point. They don't need anybody else. They don't want you, you know, they don't want you at the staff cocktail party with the fucking tablecloths and the catering, you know. It's like a society thing. It's like med school or like the debutante ball, or, you know, when I'm at Columbia, it's like, these are debutantes. They're writers, you know, it's not that they're bad writers, but it's like, they're debutantes. They're celebutantes. They're influenced celebutantes. So for me, it's just been sort of a matter of, you know, one of my big pushes is like trying to move literature into these new forms, poetry. You know, I'm trying to put poetry into live streaming, into stand-up comedy, talking, live talking, into, to me, a vlog. The vlog is Frank O'Hara. The vlog is New York School. That's why I started doing it. Because it's like, what is more Frank O'Hara than just like, I'm going to film everything I fucking do because, wow, I do this, I do that. Isn't life is this miracle thing, right? And I saw Adam Sandler on the street. Now he's in my movie, That's my Meyerowitz story or whatever the fuck. Yeah, so I just, that's only accelerated with, like, Comic-Con and, like, nerd fucking culture, Edgar Wright. It's like, I encourage people who want to be artists to go out and confront life face to fucking face. Get yourself into the real world. Get yourself into conversations with as many fucking people as possible. That's why I love New York, and that's why I live here, and that's why I'm always out walking around and doing open mics, and that's why I did cold approach shit, because honestly, okay, this is gonna sound, I don't even care how it sounds, but like doing cold approach taught me way more about being an artist than anything else I've ever done by far. It's not even close. I think doing open mics is the closest you can get to that, because getting on stage, it's such a scary thing to do. Like Peter Glissman says, being a stand-up comedian, it's like you're writing your own material, you're performing it, you're directing yourself in a way. It's the most compact kind of like public performance that I've seen. Comedians, nobody else even knows what the fuck they're gonna say. It's like they just go up, they do whatever they want, basically. They don't have a script. They don't, they can choose to do it, and to be honest, I think that's great training. Maybe that's why people like Larry David or Louis C.K. are actually good filmmakers, because they just are self-starters. And I mean, that's what Louis C.K. did. He worked on Conan and he wrote skits. He didn't write the monologue, he wrote sketches. He was the head writer, but he wrote fucking sketches. And with the money he made from that, he's made all these short films and shit in his own time, with his comedy friends. And like, the best way to do anything is to learn anything is to do it. And so in college, that's what I did. I made a bunch of fucking movies with my mini DV camera, but I was too sensitive I never got criticism at all, which most of my life has been rejection, people being underwhelmed by my performances, and I don't get a lot of positive feedback, to be honest. I do get a lot, but I also get a lot of people that just like are idiots who don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And I don't know. I don't know how to connect with more people, I do things that I think are going to connect with a lot of people, and it's always like an accident when I connect with a bunch of people, because it's like something that I wouldn't think would work. But it's, a lot of, you have to go for a mass audience now. There is no highbrow audience really that I can see. Even like sexy poet people like are watching it. I mean, Adam Sandler's in Uncut Gems. He's in Paul Thomas Anderson movies. It's like you have to accept kind of dumb mass media culture. Not that, I mean, Adam Sandler's movies are great. Don't get me wrong. Like, he really has a style. The Happy Madison stuff, the way he built, like his comedy albums, it's like they're vivid, they're world building, they're hilarious, and they're memorable to this day. Things like Toll Booth Willie, Fuck Me in the Goat Ass. There's tons of shit. I wanted to yell at Adam Sandler, Slauncha! That was like one of the funniest things I'd ever fucking heard when I was in high school. Donnie, shut off the fucking motor. I've had a few Chardonnays. What of it? So the dude is funny as hell. You gotta love Adam Sandler. But he's also like an indication of like, I don't know, like it's the development. He is this kind of, well, anyway, he has a side, I guess, that shows, and that's why people have mad love and mad respect, and why he's like a world figure, because he's in Punch Drunk Love, he's in Uncut Gems, and he does a good job, you know. I think comedians are better actors than they get credit for, like Lovitz and Happiness. They should cast more comedians in serious roles, because they would fucking crush. You know, that's one of the things that impressed me about watching Saturday Night Live in the 70s, seeing Bill Murray. His commitment to those sketches was deep. You know, he was not hamming it up. Like, if you watch him in his roles, he's very committed. And I think the show has gotten way, probably more and more further away from that. And just performance in general. People now, they just want to be famous. They just want to be, you know, and so they think just because they're getting up on stage and getting pictures of themselves and getting social media posts about it, that they're like doing something interesting. But it's like, no, you're supposed to be committed to like the work first and foremost. And so with film, I feel like it's something I've neglected for a long time. I really haven't watched that many movies since I moved to New York. And I when I moved to New York, it just kind of severed my like foundation, right? And so it's like I never, other than just like the fact that I had a commercial agent, I auditioned for TV commercials, I did improv shit in open mics. Like, I never auditioned for a movie in New York City ever. Never once, you know? Yeah, I agree. I never auditioned for fucking, you know, because it was just like, I was so jaded from doing it in college in Columbus, Ohio, my experiences working on films and having to go on tons and tons of commercial auditions, never getting cast in anything. You know, I got to New York when I was 25, almost 26. I was just so over the headshot, sign up for this fucking acting class, pay to have this casting person look at you, audition for this student film, be an extra, blah, blah, blah. You know, it was just like, by that time, plus my health was like, I was having all these health problems, and I worked full time. You know, I worked in a fucking restaurant. I had all these weird nerve problems and shit, and so I was sick of having to look like my headshot. I was sick of having to, you know, the reason why I smiled so much is because of fucking acting. It's like a disease, because they told me to smile with my eyes and to smile with my teeth. People like you better when you smile more. You know, that's what they told me. Would you smile with your teeth? You know, because I had a problem where I would smile like that, and they'd be like, that doesn't work. You need to smile with your teeth. That's why I'm Mr. Like, I hate that. I don't want to be that guy. This is why I quit doing acting, because I was just like, you know, I don't want to turn myself into this like product for corporations. They don't even want me, you know? I'm dying. I thought I had pancreatic multiple sclerosis. You know? And I was just sick of trying to look like some kind of like mild, you know, like actors' headshots or comedians' headshots are like, they're all the same. And they're so uninteresting to me. When I look at actors' headshots, I'm like, I wouldn't cast any of these people. There's nothing distinct about any of this. They all want to look the same. And it's like, I don't know what they're trying to show people, but I don't usually get anything out of an actor's headshot. But that's what the industry wants, you know? And that's what the industry does. And so I fell in, you know, when I moved into the Sludge, I met all the people who went to ETW, Experimental Theater Workshop at NYU. And I wanted to do Wallace Shawn stuff. I wanted to do the Manhattan Project. You know, I wanted to do Our Late Night. I wanted to be in a big, like, living theater, Joseph Chaikin, like, human pile or something, you know? I wanted to live like some kind of freaky Lower East Side fantasy or something, which is basically what we did at the Sludge, you know? It was an avant-garde theater company, and we just started. Then the fucking smartphone happened, and you know, high-def digital video everywhere. And so that was when it was just like, you know what? Coupling that with doing cold approach pickup stuff, I was just like, you know, I'm going to make my life into the movie, you know, and I'm going to do, all my writing is going to go into my videos, and I'm just going to write out loud with people I know who are the characters that I would write anyway. You know, all my writing was always, but when I look back now, I'm like, I don't think I'm bad at poetry. I just don't think poetry is really going to accept what I do. And so how can I make money from it? How can I continue to do it? And I'd like to get famous from fucking poetry. You know, I'd love to be like, you know, some huge Taylor Swift cultural level icon, you know. But it's like people don't care about poetry. They care about movies, you know. They care about, you can get a fucking job on Netflix or something, you know, like, and that's what I did a lot of my life anyway. And so I'm having like this crisis where I'm just kind of trying to grab for something. I feel like poetry world has given me this narrative, like, you're not good at this, but I am good at something, you know, because it's like, that's, you know, I was good at acting, I was good at playwriting, and so it's like a part of me is like, they must be right. Or, you know, like I was the class clown in 7th grade. That's why I do stand-up comedy. Because I'm like, you know, people thought I was funny. Nick Stahl thought I was fucking hilarious. It's like, he's a successful artist. Maybe they were right and I should just do stand-up comedy and that will work, you know? Because poetry is not working. People just act like I'm like crazy. So I thought, oh, I'll just start doing stand-up comedy, and because that's what I'm supposed to be doing anyway, because I'm just trying to force this poetry thing, and like, I'm upsetting the fucking Tea Party. And so now I'm like, oh, I guess I should do movies or playwriting or something, because I'm not any good at fucking, well, it's not that I'm not, I don't even, stand-up comedy is its own thing. It is what it is. You know, it's not really what I want to do. You know, I do want to, I like being funny. I do want to be like a good sport and just life. You know, like most of the people where I grew up, and in a certain way, I'm still like psychologically in Columbus, Ohio. I've never really broken through in New York. I just live on the street like a fucking homeless person, basically. You know, I'm not an insider in any way. You know, I don't have any kind of permanent anything here. I've never even had a real job, really. Here, other than restaurants. And even that's just like a very precarious, tenuous outsider, you know, fly-by-night position. And so, you know, I'm like, okay, these vlogs, nobody watches my vlogs. They're too slow, they're too boring, they're too uninteresting, they're too lazy. But it's like, I need to break through somehow. So it's like, I guess I'll try and write fucking movies now. You know, I tried everything else. And the comedy thing, it's like you're trying to participate in that culture where it's like, what? You're going to be a traveling club comedian. Well, I mean, the thing that I realized is like poetry is what I do, you know, like I would never take a break from poetry. Like poetry is my life, you know, and I am good at it. In fact, I think I'm better than everybody else, to be honest. I just think the culture is behind me. You know, that's what I'm seeing. Like now that people are finally getting around to like vlogging, other people are starting to like do live streams. Other people are starting to watch my live streams. Like the culture is catching up with me. You know, it's like I'm not bad at what I do. It's like people don't get it. You know, they don't. They want to dress their poetry up with all these commas and semicolons and shit, and have it be this bourgeois status symbol, parlor activity like playing bridge or something. It's just a bunch of fucking rich, pampered debutantes in Brooklyn. And they don't own poetry. The fact that I exist and I do what I do with such force in the face of indifference And even the fact that people are reacting to me the way they are is an indication that it's working. You know, it's like I can think for myself. I read what's out there. I see what's out there. My work is meant to stand in my own ideals against the bullshit of what everybody else is doing, which is being taught and bred in these fucking MFA programs. I would never take a break from poetry, ever. You know, ever, 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 ever. You know, I couldn't possibly. That's a terrible idea. I'm sorry. It's a terrible idea. But in a certain way, my life has been taking a break from poetry because it's like searching for Bobby Fischer. You know, his dad says they go fishing or whatever before the big tournament. At the end of the movie, before the Nationals, instead of being a psycho chess kid who's like studying chess all day, indoor reading chess books and running over openings and shit, he goes fishing with his dad. You know, the point of it being that, like, that's, you know, you need to be out in real life. You know, you need to be having experiences. You need to be with people. It's more important to do that than to be obsessed with the interior of, you know, that kind of obsessive training or whatever. And that's where I was. You know, I was obsessed with my library, my books, buying books, getting new books, you know, just obsessed with poetry, you know, who the poets were. You know, that's why I was so nervous around all these people, is it was like, because I was obsessed with it, you know. It was like I thought it was going to work for me, you know. I thought finally I found a sensibility that I resonated with that was already kind of how I was working. And you know, so to just face more rejection with that. And, you know, I met all these people who like sold books for a living. They were kind of condescending to me. And I was like, you know, I don't necessarily agree that poetry is just like this thing that's in conversation with itself. It's the anxiety of influence, and all poets are just doing skillful, strong misreadings of their influences. That's the Harold Bloom thing. And it's like every poem is just a rewrite of another poem. And also just like trying to write, once again, you know, like trying to make movies where just like all you are is obsessed with movies. You know, it's like, you know, trying to write poetry when all you do is like fucking prioritize fucking acquiring poetry books over like, you know, real human relationships or people and shit. And so I just started to go, I want to fucking draw my poetry from real life, you know. I'm going to stop. It's not that I stopped reading, but it was almost like, you know, I'd had enough kind of fill of influences for a while, and it's like I needed to be writing from real things that happened to me, real experience, learning from open mics. You know, that's one reason why I go to open mics, and want to meet with other artists and shit who are actually doing it, because it's like I want to hear what real people are doing. I want to hear the way people on the street are actually talking, you know. I want to bring that into the poem. You know, that's why I'm out in the street, listening to conversations, listening to people talk on the train, listening to people, you know, at the whatever, park, restaurant, listening to, I want to see life with my own two eyes. You know, that's what my vlog is about. With movies, you're getting this mediation of reality, and movies are like powerful in that, like, they sort of simplify the narrative and they clarify the visual of that for people. And so that is something that makes it like a lot of times it's the movie of any particular story that most people are going to think is like the history, right? Like the legend. The things that most people are going to know about Abe Lincoln are probably maybe going to be from the Daniel Day-Lewis movie or something. You know, it's like, so movies have a certain responsibility and power in that way. But, you know, it's just like being an adult, trying to make a living, being out in the world, experiencing life firsthand. I sort of took a shortcut to just do that, which is what poetry was for me. It's just like I can just write in my notebook whatever I want to write. I can film it on my phone for free. You know, making movies was just too expensive for me. You know, I'm such a broke ass fucking person, and I don't want to work at a job that, you know, is terrible to make money, which I should do, just for the stability it provides and the boost it provides. But you know, in order to make a movie, it's like you got to have props, you got to have technology, lights, camera, all this kind of shit. And that's one reason why I just started to do it the way that I do it now. Vlogging, writing. My poetry is really like a movie. I know that sounds crazy or pretentious or something, but it's meant to be like a montage, psychological, you know, film. Really, you know, because I studied film. That's what I studied. You know, I studied montage and fucking. So I don't know. I don't necessarily think. But my dad, you know, my dad is a huge proponent of movies and film as like a superior thing to books. He's always saying that like movies are better than the books. Or like they just get more information across. You know, one reason why I started watching all these fucking movies is because of Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan talks about, you know, he's on this never-ending tour. What he does on his fucking tour bus is he watches movies and his paintings, right? His paintings are all like frames from movies and shit. A lot of his songs, he just rips dialogue out of movies, to be honest. A lot of Bob Dylan's best lines are like lines from fucking westerns and like Don Siegel movies and shit. Like Bob Dylan is like, and you know, for me, I spent most of a decade being like, no, I've got to constantly working. I've got to be constantly, you know, I got to be doing something better than watching shitty movies. You got to be reading poetry. That's like eating a salad, you know, like intellectually or cerebrally. It's like watching a movie is like this zombie. It obliterates your third eye, you know. It totally occupies your kind of mental vision space. But I think that's also what's important about it. You know, the power of movies is it's like time traveling. You know, it's like you can go to all these different places in history, all these different places in the world. And it's a dream. You know, the thing that always blew me away about movies, yeah, Herzog was a huge, huge thing for me. The thing that always gets me about movies is how dreamlike they are. You know, human beings have been dreaming for, you know, presumably thousands of years, centuries. And now movies come along and they're so dreamlike. That was something I was always trying to like capture with film. The kind of aleatory consciousness of it. But I also think, you know, it's one of the prime mediums of our era, and there's big works that are occurring in movies that, like, just as a, you know, as a cultured person or fan of the arts or whatever, it's like if you're not seeing certain movies, it's like you're really missing out on stuff that's as good as anything out there. You know, it's like, and also it's just like part of the cultural dialogue. Like, how fucking often have I seen memes about Wolf of Wall Street? It's like, I just need to see this fucking movie. You know, I just need to see this so I know what the fuck they're talking about. So basically for the last year, you know, I've been trying to, it's something that Ashley and I have in common. She went to film high school. And so we have this kind of like intertextual dialogue through our like vlogs or you know, YouTube stuff. She doesn't do live streams though. She's too demure. So it's like, I don't know, I guess it's a midlife crisis. I'm like trying to reclaim part of my youth, but it's like, I'm also just trying to see every fucking movie that I've ever wanted to see. You know, like I've heard about Terms of Endearment my whole fucking life, you know, or Nora Ephron movies, or, you know, Postman, whatever it is. There's every movie I've been watching. It's just like, okay, I gotta see Saving Private Ryan. You know, like this is a pretty, everybody says it's the best war sequence of all time. Just let me watch this fucking movie, just get it over with, just so I know what the hell people are talking about. You know, it's like if you don't watch film and television, a lot of times it's hard to have conversations with people because this is what people do. They come home, they binge. They binge, they purge. They go to work, they purge, they come home, they binge. We're in a bulimic content diet culture. I think summertime is August is the month to watch movies. August was always a film festival for me. You've kind of gotten out the activity of summer. It's hot. You know, and like watching films in New York, I think used to be a way different experience. Like you used to walk to the movie theater. You know, there was repertory shit. You know, living in New York was a huge advantage probably because they had all this repertory stuff. The New Yorker or Anthology Film Archives. Having access to that kind of film, that quality of art film, it was a lot harder to do that until recently. And that's another reason why I do it, because you can literally watch any goddamn movie ever made for free immediately online. And so why not sort of take advantage of that? And, you know, some of these movies, like those Cassavetes movies, it's like, Jesus Christ. I'm so glad that I saw those. As an artist, you know, it's just like, it's inspiring as an artist to just like, I want to bring this, you know? There's very few filmmakers I feel like that speak at that level. That Cassavetes is. There's something that he's able to get across that almost nobody else is able to get across. It's like some kind of animalistic thunder, but it's a deepness. You know, it's like his films have a literary quality. You know, like Love Streams. The guy's a writer. He's a novelist. He's got this cool house. He has all these people over at his house to like sort of, you know. Love Streams, I think we may have watched on Criterion. I think most of the Cassavetes stuff is on Criterion. HD. That's a good question. I'm not that picky about. I mean, if it's not HD, I guess, you know, if it's standard or if it's pixelated or something, I guess I probably wouldn't watch it. But watching these movies, you know, what I did when I was younger is I read like a lot of screenwriting books, which I think still haunts me to this day. I think it's a huge mistake to like read these screenwriting books. Watching a bunch of movies, I think, does give you like examples about how stories kind of like are shaped or unfold or whatever. Herzog talks about this, where he talks about like he never watched movies. He'll see like one movie a year at like a film festival or something. You know, he never watched movies. He's always been insanely productive, and he's always been an enterprising person. You know, where it's just like he came to the United States when he was like a teenager and lived in a car in New York, and you know, even Dorf started small. I think he wrote when he was like, you know, 20 something, and he made it when, you know, he like made that movie in Greece when he was like young. It's like, you just have to do that. you know, and it's easy now. You know, now it's like camera equipment fucking everywhere. You know, movies are only becoming more and more and more a native vocabulary for us. You know, communicating in video texts, short videos, video messages, you know, video calls. That's like a little fucking movie. I remember when Spike Lee made the first movie on a cell phone camera. It was like part of the ad. You know, it was like a flip phone. It was like 5 frames or something of his kid or something. It's like, it's incredible just how far that's developed, you know, in the last 10 or 15 years, you know, and just made everybody kind of, so, I feel like a lot of what you're seeing when you're watching movies is it just took a lot more effort to make a movie. I mean, loading a film magazine, developing film, making sure it doesn't get exposed. All the equipment was a lot bigger, heavier, fucking louder. You know, but Bob Dylan like watches all these fucking movies on his tour bus. He watches Jerry Lewis movies. He watches, and I don't know. It's just, it's interesting as a form because it's like they're short, they're 2 hours. I don't know. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody. It's not usually my thing, really, but I'm starting to think more in that way. It's like I do feel like I have to gather all of my abilities into like something more intentional just to like get the point across to people more. Like make a movie. If you make a movie, then it's like, okay, people might take that a little more seriously than like, hey, I'm going to show my vlog at the library. You know, it's like nobody gives a fuck. They don't want to see a 2-hour-long video of like me walking around New York not saying anything, and then doing bad stand-up comedy for 5 minutes. Well, let's say avant-garde, radical stand-up comedy. In-your-face punk rock comedy. Yeah, so I went to Brooklyn Poets. It's nice. I would love to fucking read there. It's a $10 general admission. They let me sit there for free. That was nice. They're on Montague Street, which is like the perfect, it's the nicest street probably in Brooklyn Heights. They really got it figured out over at Brooklyn Poets. That's the dream. Maybe someday there will be an Easy Paradise dedicated venue. I'd love to own a bar called Easy Paradise on the Lower East Side somewhere. Living in Manhattan is reactionary. All the reactionary, well, yeah, so I don't know. It's weird how it sort of is cut down the middle in that way, where it's like Brooklyn is woke left. Manhattan is like dirtbag left. You know, and there's all these people in. I thought from the open mic there would be more film directors interested. I thought it'd be a great place to cast people. I know all these people. You know, even when I was making my literary magazine, Easy Paradise, I felt like I was making a movie. You know, I just feel like I'd be better at it now. I'm better at working with people, orchestrating that kind of thing, getting a lot of people involved in like, you know, a big group activity. I know a lot of people I'd like to cast. You know, there's a lot of people who I think would be interesting to have in a film, you know, to have as actors. There's a lot of people I'd like to work with. So I'm trying to, you know, I don't know. But I feel like I did like ruin my brain with drugs. You know, it's like, once I started doing acid and smoking joints, it's like I could never not be that high ever again. And so my work is like this sort of full throttle. Like my 30s were really about like being avant-garde, being sort of underground, doing things the kind of natural way, unwinding all the technique, unwinding all the like commercial intention, you know, of like trying to make a film that's, you know, once I saw Jonas Mekas, you know, I thought the Jonas Mekas movies were the most beautiful movies I'd ever seen. And same thing with Richard Attenborough, who's a documentary, you know, animal documentarian for the BBC. Or, you know, Herzog, he goes back and forth between fiction and nonfiction. He'll make a documentary, then he'll make a, you know, a narrative, fiction. And he you know, he kind of, but his movies are always extreme in that he's taking them into, they're like travel for him. You know, he's going to make movies all over the fucking world. He's going to go to the most extreme place. He's going to go make a movie in a volcano in Haiti. You know, he's going to go to Greece. He's going to go to, you know, you know, Chile or whatever, the Andes. He's going to go to Antarctica. He's going to go to Wisconsin. Yeah, Herzog's movies do not have a whole lot of production. You know, that's another thing that I like about them. He has kind of a monistic, you know, lack of Hollywood kind of like frills. He really just films the story. You know, there's not a bunch of fucking special effects or costumes or graphic design. I think that, you know, his movies are, they're almost like movies from the 40s or something. You know, his technique, it's not like music video directing, you know, a bunch of like fucking strobe light. You know, he's not Michael Bay or, you know, Natural Born Killers or something. Fitzcarraldo, you know, it's like they pull the boat up the fucking mountain. I mean, Herzog on Herzog is one of the best books I've ever read. I haven't read any, you know, in the last few years, he's put out a few actual, like he wrote a fucking novel and shit. I haven't read any of his more recent. I have the book of Walking in Ice, which is like the book he wrote while he was walking across Europe. That's one of the most badass things about Herzog. It's just like walk across America. That's the best film school for you. Just walk across the country. You'll learn more about filmmaking if like you steal a camera and work as a bouncer. You know, like that was the advice that I followed, really, was Herzog's advice. Just like get a camera, get an apartment, and just make movies, you know? That's all you need. Like just write a script, make the fucking movie. And then make another movie. And then make another movie, you know? Like those people became my idols more than, you know, like Rollins was another one. Rollins, just get in the van, go on tour, play every fucking place, play every goddamn place. Yeah, that's right. Herzog directs a lot of opera stuff. That's like one of his, another thing that he does that's interesting is he directs these fucking operas, which is like a live. But he, you know, he's a storyteller. His conversation is, he talks like a poet. I think he considers himself a poet, and he is a poet, you know. His conversation is, you know, irresistibly charismatic, like poets. It's amazing to me how he's become like a household name. You know, like he was in The Mandalorian and shit. Because 15 years ago, he was kind of like an obscure, you know, like foreign film director that, I don't know, like fucking Bela Tarr or something. Or, you know, Akis Kaurismäki or, you know, like maybe film people knew who he was, but it's like, his movies were not really in the Criterion Collection. I don't think they even still are. It's like that documentary about him and shit. I don't know. Has Criterion ever even put out a like Werner Herzog like directed film? It's all like a, you know, the Les Blanc film about Herzog or whatever. Like, did they do? I don't think they've done like any. Did they put out Fitzcarraldo or Aguirre or any of that shit? Burden of Dreams. Yeah, see, that's like a documentary about him or something. Those, I think that was the first time I ever remember seeing Herzog. I was hungover and I was staying at my buddy's house, and he was in a film and with these guys I went to high school with, who were like, they were the other kind of like film nerd guys, or they wanted to be filmmakers. They were the other guys, but they were like cool. They went to like art school and shit. They all like P.T. Anderson. They were making movies about. They had this movie Thunder Cunt Drug Lords, which was like about doing coke and shit. Which is like we were in high school. My friend Chip had a VHS copy of Thunder Cunt Drug Lords, and to be honest, it was kind of an amazing movie. It was like, but they liked P.T. Anderson and Boogie Nights and shit. I was more into Wes Anderson and on the twee side of things, I guess. I don't know. Wes Anderson has like a literary effect, like literature as aesthetic, like being a literary person, dressing that way, being around books, working in some kind of literary office, like the French Dispatch. I liked that, but now it just disgusts me. As a Marxist, I'm a noble worker. You have to be a noble worker. Like Christ. Like Jesus Christ. What was I saying about Herzog? Oh yeah, so I was staying at my buddy's house. I was hungover, and he had a Fitzcarraldo on DVD. And the DVD menu was just like playing over and over and over again, like all night. And it's beautiful because one of the miraculous things about Fitzcarraldo is there's a scene, the DVD menu was this scene, he's filming the Victrola. And the Victrola is on top of this steamboat. And the steamboat is going through the jungle. And it's Klaus Kinski, who's like a huge influence, who's basically like this insane performance artist, extremist. Klaus Kinski is listening to the Victrola, and the Victrola is playing Enrico Caruso. I forget what song it is. But the native people are like playing their drums to the opera music, and it sort of slaps. It's like a mashup. It's like something you'd hear on fucking TikTok, where it's like, these two things, it's like rock and roll, but like 50 years before rock and roll, where it's like opera and like tribal fucking Amazon drums. And it like actually works, and it's sick. I would like pay to see this. It's so dope. And so that had like, even that moment just had a huge influence on me in so many ways. The fact that you could mash those kind of things together, these disparate styles, and just the surrealism of that visual, the steamboat in the jungle and a Victrola, and the music was so, there's a glockenspiel and shit. Caruso is one of the greatest recording artists. I encourage people to listen to Caruso. The recordings are dope. They're like Victrola, lo-fi. That's part of the ghostly magic. And then on YouTube, there's clips of, because Fitzcarraldo was originally supposed to be Jason Robards and Mick Jagger, believe it or not. It's hard to imagine Jason Robards in the Klaus Kinski role. But there's footage on YouTube. This was one of the first things I saw of Herzog. He shot, they went to the Amazon jungle. I can't imagine Mick Jagger would have tolerated the living conditions that movie. I mean, they put themselves through hell. They literally pulled that fucking boat up the goddamn mountain. I don't think Mick Jagger and Jason Robards, Klaus Kinski is nuts. He will do anything. He's crazier than the rest of them. But the clips of Jason Robards and Mick Jagger doing it are way less exciting. When you see Klaus Kinski do it, you're like, holy shit. This guy is a master. You know, it just blew my mind. You know, it's just like, what is this? This guy is on another level. You know, he knew how to use the camera. He was way more intense and electric. Jason Robards and Mick Jagger made it look like it was like, haha, yay, yay. They're like ringing the bell because they're going to build this opera house. Klaus Kinski is like, ah, like screaming about it. Like he's Hitler. I guess he has kind of a Hitler-esque delivery. I mean, they came out of Germany, you know. A lot of my favorite filmmakers, Wim Wenders, they were born in Germany during the fucking war, you know. Herzog's childhood was literally like in the rubble of Germany, you know, of World War II. And so the new German cinema, I don't know what it was. It's more like a hippie. You know, I think they were really influenced by Easy Rider, Wim Wenders in particular, I guess. But the way that Herzog's movies are just like super stripped down, Wim Wenders' movies are kind of the same way. They're not glitzy. They're very naturalistic. They're very earthy. You know, there's a quietness and a silence in them, a conscientiousness. Maybe that's a German thing, but it does feel like, you can almost feel like World War II. You can feel like they wanted to just be, there's like a moment of silence in all of the Herzog stuff. In a deep, you know, it gives it a depth or something. Same thing with Wim Wenders, you know. The French movies are way different, right? Godard, Truffaut, all of that shit is like a cabaret. It's like this, there's this joie de vivre, there's this kind of curlicue, kind of frilliness to it that's very French. But, you know, Herzog said that Godard is intellectual counterfeit money. He does not like Godard, which I don't agree. I mean, I can see why Herzog says that, but to me, Godard is probably the best filmmaker, maybe. To me, he's like a genius, like Picasso or something. You know, it's like, there's very few people that, you know, at least his technique, you know, that's, I think, you know, like Herzog's technique is not, it's very invisible. It's very like work-a-day. He considers himself like this kind of medieval craftsman. You know, like he's like an illuminated manuscript. You know, he's making these kind of like Caspar Hauser. What's the one? The ski jump movie is incredible, but the technique is like, it's like get Paul Pulva to do some kind of super, like, you know, Can or whatever soundtrack. It's, you know, I don't know, maybe Germany was just where it was at in the 70s. All the fucking krautrock. Is Herzog like krautrock? Wim Wenders more like the B-52s or something. I like that kind of movies, though. You know, when he takes the shit in Kings of the Road. Wim Wenders movies are super long, black and white. Beautiful, beautiful movies. Herzog's movies, the technique is very craftsman, you know? It's like he's building a chest or something. But it's also kind of dreamy, long takes, mesmerizing, hypnotic takes. All his little documentaries, his documentary about the auctioneers, all that shit used to be on Netflix. It pops up. I think Herzog has his own distribution thing. I think that's probably why he doesn't do Criterion. His stuff pops up here and there on different streaming platforms. Occasionally they'll have like all of it. But like all of his documentaries are worth watching. His little short, you know, he could edit them, you know, he could edit them for 28 minutes for TV or an hour, you know, for a feature. It's like he's versatile in that way. Godard is way more postmodern and kind of, you know, it's like theory or something. It's like, it's very convoluted and contrived and, well, maybe not contrived, but he's got a stylistic dexterity that just like blows my mind. but he's also a great filmmaker. You know, like Godard can move you emotionally as good as anybody. You know, his movies work like as just like classic kind of stories a lot of the time as well. Like V vs. V, that movie just like blew me away, and it's so different from, you know, Band Apart or whatever. But, you know, I don't know. Recently, it's been, I don't watch like as challenging of stuff. I'm just, you know, like this movie, The Savages, we started to watch the other day. It's pretty interesting. It's about like playwrights and winning grants and shit. When it came out in the theaters, I just thought it looked like such a piece of shit. But, you know, I think there's a clarity to a lot of these filmmakers like Mazursky that appeals to me, and it's sort of what I try to do with my poetry. It's like objectivism in poetry. You know, like William Carlos Williams, no ideas but in things. You know, like, well, a movie is kind of like that. It's like you're showing things happen, you're showing people, you're showing how they are affected emotionally by what happens to them. So I don't know, I'm kind of interested in that. Well, a part of me is just like, I just feel like I have to get my shit together as a human being, because you can't make money any other way. You can't make a living. You know, it's like I have to figure out how to like write complete sentences again or something, and make like a narrative like script again or something.
Yeah, like a labradoodle.
Vlogging, live streaming, writing my poetry. This is what I feel like is the art that I do. And I do, you know, like, I'm more proud to be an artist, really, and to do things my own way, and to have like an idiosyncratic identifying technique. Like, my vlogs are mumblecore, you know? It's just like, to me, that's the evolution of mumblecore, is like, okay, we don't have a script. We have Ashley and me and all my other friends who I resonate with because they're smart, witty, verbal people. And so we all write, it's all an improvisation of the show in real time with our real lives. You know, like Ashley writes great dialogue. I can't wait to read her script, actually. I think it's really going to be good. You know, she's able to do that stuff. You know, she's able to write a novel that's like normal for normal people. You know, it's like, I just feel like the workload, I just collapse into the workload. The thought of even having to like write and do all that work is just like, oh. I'll write my novel on YouTube.
I don't know. I'll call him in the morning.
It's autofiction, baby. To me, it's just like I'm on the, you know, like I was reading The Drift the other day, the copy of The Drift that Ashley gave me. There were all these fucking references to Ben Lerner, and it pissed me the fuck off. Because I am way ahead of Ben Lerner, to be honest. I am way ahead of all of them. The people who are actually like my peers, I guess I'm a little younger than Ben Lerner. But like, that's why I'm so pissed about my reception as an artist just in life. It's like, I really do feel like I'm working at like a very high level. It's just, I don't look for anybody's approval. I don't jump through any of the traditional hoops. It's all gate kept, right? You have to get John Ashbery or Eileen Miles or, you know, Ben Lerner to blurb you, to sanctify you, to validate you. And it's just like, I don't have the courage to do that. But I do have the courage to go up on stage and force my work, unedited, unfiltered, upon people on my own terms. And I want to be a fucking rock star performer presence on stage, like Sam Kinison or something, you know? I'm too much of a live performer that, like, it's unusual for the field, you know? to embrace the Jim Carrey within, you know? The Adam Sandler. Adam Sandler doing Axl Rose? Jesus Christ, man. His Axl Rose impression is like... I mean, you gotta hand it to Adam Sandler. He did the Red Hooded Sweatshirt, Hanukkah song. I mean, he touched people, you know? It's not a Zionist conspiracy. Like, he is a touching performer. And, he's just got it. I don't know. Whatever it is. I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of stubbornly, psychologically, like I'm still this, I'm like Harvey, you know, I want to be like Harvey Picar of New York or something, you know, like or like that's what psychologically, you know, I can't get past, like I'm like some kind of splinter here or something, you know. I saw this astrology TikTok video the other day about if you're these signs, here's what you should do to like improve your life. And for like Aquarius, all these other signs, it was like move someplace where your authenticity is appreciated. I don't necessarily feel like it's my authenticity. I think like maybe emotionally I'm authentic, or you know, like I'm sort of unabashed enthusiastically or something, or you know, I'm more like visibly loud, or you know, like at comedy clubs, they always say I'm crazy. That guy was crazy and weird. I'm an iconoclast. Well, I don't know. Am I just a reactionary? Am I just aping the yesterday's avant-garde? You know, I thought my poetry was new. I really do still feel that way. I do feel like my poetry is just like very new. The way that I'm, you know, grafting things together syntactically, non sequitur. That's what I feel like things sound like now, you know? Other people don't write that way. So, okay, I'll do 2 hours. What the hell else do I need to talk about? Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. I don't know about this Labor Day. I mean, I hope people come out. I've been really bad. I'm sorry to everybody. I'm behind in messaging. I will get back to everybody. I'm just taking a mental health day. I don't know. I've been trying to get out in the world. So, I went to this open mic yesterday at Green Garden, right off Fort Greene Park. Or what's that park in Fort Greene? Is it called Fort Greene Park? So it's a walk down memory lane. I haven't been to that part of Brooklyn in a while. Went to Cafe Juju, met up with Sparrow. He goes to more shit than I do. He's been to Sovereign House. He's like friends with Matthew Silver and Miriam Mason and stuff. It's like I don't go to anything. You know, if I had my druthers, I'd go to everything. That would be the movies I'd be watching. Just going to the little vaudeville houses of New York, filled with clowns and poets and comedians and storytellers and musicians, raconteurs, influencers, viral. So I went to this open mic yesterday at Green Garden. It popped up in my feed. You know, a lot of people at the open mic are really amazing warriors in that they just go to everything, and you have to go to everything. It's like they're at a different open mic every night in a different part of town. It's like that's where I want to be. That's what I want to be doing. They're inspirational. So I'd seen this somewhere in my feed, and it was, you know, I knew it was near where I was going. So I was like, okay, let me swing by and check this out. It's in a garden, you know, I want to read outside. I haven't gotten to do that really very much. Well, poetry festival. Apparently Elizabeth Street Garden is like really facing crisis, so whatever people can do, this is a public service announcement to support Elizabeth Street Garden. They want to build affordable housing there. I really doubt that it's affordable housing. It's probably some kind of rich people condo with some affordable housing, or it's probably NYC overpriced affordable housing, private, whatever the fuck it is. It's all overpriced. And Elizabeth Street Garden is way more beautiful than whatever the fuck they're going to put there. So I sincerely doubt that it's affordable housing. I think that's just PR. We need Elizabeth Street Garden. They should make it like a monument or whatever they do. You know, make it like a historic district or something. Matt Proctor read poetry here. Patti Smith played here. So it was super cool. I guess I wanted to sign up low on the list. You know, I typically like to go later when there's less people there. That's why I have no career or audience or anything. But it's like they draw your name out of a hat. And I knew the whole way over there. I was like, I know I'm going to go first. I just know I'm going to go first. I don't want to go first. I want to go like last. But I know I'm going to go fucking first. Like, and sure enough, it's, you know, it was in this beautiful garden right on the fucking park. Sure enough, they pull my fucking name first. And so they give you, they give you 7 minutes, but they're like, you know, they're super strict about the time. They like give you this flag or something. And then like at 7 minutes, it's like you're done. So it's like, I thought it was 8 minutes, but it was 7. And it's like, so I picked this piece to read that was like kind of long. It was a good piece. I probably should have went ahead with it, but it was the lady who hosted it was super cool. She was like a storytelling person. And so it was sort of like a storytelling comedy. I didn't know what the hell people were going to do. I'd never been there, but you know, I thought my poetry, who knows, it could go either way. So I was like, you know what? There was probably 15 or 20 people there, but it's like there wasn't that many people there. So I was like, let me try something. I'm not that nervous. Let me try something new. Let me get out of my comfort zone. Let me push my, you know. And so what I've been trying to experiment with recently and do on stage is like talk pieces, you know, live, like this, do it live. And so I basically did a talk piece. I went up and I talked about my parents, how my dad was a flower delivery driver and how my mom put things on layaway. And would call her name over the PA at Schottenstein's. And I probably only did about 5 minutes. I got off stage way early because I was a little embarrassed to go first. And, you know, it was like, I'm like the white guy at the open mic. I'm like the token white guy. And so I didn't really want to go up there and like show off or anything. I kind of just wanted to watch and check it out. I wanted to do a little something, but I also would have been happy to just sort of like blend into the scenery and take it, you know, easy or whatever. But I appreciated it. I mean, it was cool that I got to do it. I didn't bomb or anything. I did a pretty good job, I thought. I didn't necessarily like tie everything up, but I had some nice moments. And you know, part of what I do with my poetry, and like maybe this is a movie thing, like the axiom in film, right, is show, don't tell. And this is sort of a writing workshop axiom too, but that's what I try to do in my writing. And so like with my storytelling thing that I did, or like talk piece, it's like I just talked about how my dad was a flower delivery driver, blah, blah, blah. It wasn't meant to be like nostalgic. It was meant to be like, these are sort of poetic, I don't know, images, you know, like the image of me driving around with my dad as sort of a passenger on this sort of like minivan flaneur thing through, you know, sprawl Columbus, Ohio, with carrying an entire garden of flowers in our back seat. You know, that's sort of a poetic image to me, and I don't know what it means really. It's from my childhood. I don't really want to extrapolate what it means totally exactly. To me, it's about ending on an image and not explaining it, right? That was something Henri Cole told us in workshop. A good way to end a poem. Sometimes. It's a good thing to try. End on an image and don't explain it. And so maybe I should explain it or figure out what the fuck that is. Or like my mom putting shit on layaway, or I talk about Christmas. My mom was always great at Christmas, the things she bought us. Or like the way she arranged it and shit, you know? So it's like, I don't know. I guess these are, what are they? Are they saccharine? They're sentimental. Maybe they're sentimental, nostalgic, you know, kind of self-indulgent. Am I just a white guy that, oh, I think my experience is special? My mom, my dad, I'm going to talk about my... But I don't know. I was just trying to do sort of public speaking that was like, you know, a positive, gentle, calm. You know, I'm not trying to ram some kind of moral down people's throats. There's no story, really. It's not about some incident that happened and I learned some lesson. It's just like, this is what I remember. I remember driving around town with my dad, delivering flowers. And I could go into that for hours, probably. But I had, you know, I did 5 minutes, I think, maybe 6. And, you know, I was a little nervous. But, you know, that's what open mics are for me, is like places to experiment, try new things. You know, I mean, if there's a bunch of people there and I want to deliver some kind of high impact, you know, performance, that's a different story. That's a different objective, you know. Like when I went to Book Club Bar last week, it's like the place was packed. Everybody there was like a prose, you know, nerd. They probably all work for like, I don't know, where did Jenna's roommate work for something? I forget what it was. The Atlantic or something. I forget what it was. The Nation. I forget what it was. But it's like, who gives a fuck? I'd rather be fucking rock and roll, baby. I don't know. Look at my denim jacket, everybody. Oasis is getting back together. Did you hear? They're going on tour, baby. We're back. I mean, I had a brief Oasis phase in college when I first, you know, they've got some great fucking songs. They've got deep. I mean, they are a complete Beatles retread. There's nothing really original about Oasis. Oh, the way they've put things together, their lyrics are incredible. That is, in their melodies, I mean, Oasis is great. Don't get me wrong. I love Oasis. I'm not talking shit about Oasis. But, like, their flavor, they just rip a lot of Beatles stuff, basically. And then some T-Rex and some other shit. 70s kind of... cigarettes and alcohol. And then their personalities are just, like, lit as hell. You know, any interview with either one of those guys... They're just magic. There's something about those. It's like planet Earth needs the Gallagher brothers. And I don't know, our culture is just like so destitute for the past 40 years. Like that's the best we have is Oasis. It's like an echo of the Beatles, basically. With you know, thrash distorted guitars. They even have the same fucking haircuts and shit. Basically, I mean... They're cool. I mean, I guess you could say the same thing about me. I actually am kind of surprised that Oasis is so big among young people. You know, like people are super stoked that Oasis is fucking coming. It's like all over. Maybe that's just my TikTok, but it feels like Hawk 2 all over again for Oasis. And I'm glad. I mean, Oasis is dope. At least it's something cool that I can relate to. You know, I never went through a Blur phase, but like I listened to What's the Story, Morning Glory, Don't Look Back in Anger. So Sally can't wait. Don't Go Away, Say What You Say. Their melodies are just timeless. Don't go away. So maybe we'll have Oasis night. Yeah, it's the Easy Paradise Memorial Labor Day Telethon. Hopefully people come out and perform. I've got a lot of people who want to come out and perform. But it's like I haven't done an event in a while, to be honest, other than Poetry Festival. So I'm like trying to get... Who's Who Daddy's at Burning Man. I meant to talk about this. Fucking, I saw, because he was supposed to fucking play, at the goddamn rooftop thing. He was supposed to do a whole set. And I see on, I forget where I saw it, Facebook or Instagram, he's on an airplane. It's just a fucking, it's a hat on his foot, and the hat is like dancing, and it's like he's going to Burning Man or something. And I know a bunch of his friends go to Burning Man, a bunch, like his Russian friends and his friends from Mehanata go to Burning Man every year. I'd love to go. I wish he would have told me about it. But apparently he just up and went. Didn't, you know, no, without any kind of warning or planning. He just got on a fucking plane, went to Burning Man. I think they've been having trouble. They didn't sell out this year. It's like the first year Burning Man hasn't sold out in like decades. And it's like, because it rained last year. It was like disgusting on the playa because it rained. Chris Rock and Katy Perry and Karlie Kloss were all stuck on the mud. Boo-hoo. They couldn't just private jet out of there. I'd love to go to fucking Burning Man. I mean, I've been into Burning Man for 15 years and I've never been. But Kuzu Daddy just up and went. It'll be interesting. I mean, he'll be back next week, I guess. So, Kuzu Daddy's at Burning Man, probably having the time of his fucking life. I mean, he's healthy, but he should take it a little easy. So he'll bring back the Burning Man energy. I imagine I know a lot of burners. I'm on that kind of, you know, situationist. You know, there's something situationist about Burning Man. And it was intended to be like, you know, sort of an anti-capitalist. I think, you know, it was like gift economy, no bands, no brands. You know, it's just like people relying on each other, trading with each other, giving to each other, relating, man, surreal, but I've never been, you know, maybe next year, I don't know. GoFundMe, donate to my GoFundMe. GoFund my Burning Man dream. So, okay, I don't think watching movies makes you a better filmmaker. I encourage everybody to just, but, you know, I don't know. At this point, I think people should take seriously their video diet. You know, like if you are binging and purging, you know, you should like curate your fucking video diet carefully. You can watch anything. Watch Cassavetes movies. And don't just be a Criterion snob. I think Criterion's got a lot of boring shit. You know, to be honest. I don't watch that much Criterion shit. I think it's pretentious. I think there's a happy medium where like you can watch deep movies, but like they're accessible and they're actually fun to watch. Like Mazursky movies, or even that last movie Cassavetes made, Bad Company or whatever the fuck it was called. That was pretty watchable. Harley Davidson, The Marlboro Man, I thought was a pretty interesting film. You know, there's a lot you can get from films, like fucking Ridley Scott films or Alien. Like my brother, you know, is a very smart person. He won't watch a fucking Criterion channel. He's not interested in that kind of shit. He'll watch Alien or, you know, Prometheus or, you know, Dune sequel or whatever. It's like, I don't watch that stuff, but more of the culture is zonking themselves out with completely overproduced, just spoon feeding them the emotion. But it's like Warhol. It's like, you know, Warhol wished, he thought movies were better than life. He wished life was like a movie, right? A movie tells you what to feel. A movie tells you with clarity, with definition, you know, with style, with a swooning kind of grandeur, a glamour. It's a way for poor people to participate in glamour, I feel like. You know, like a movie is like a vacation if you're poor. if you're, stuck, if you're on an airplane, if you're, recuperating, if you're sick. If you just, I don't know. It's like you need to rest. You need to rest. With my approach to being on stage, the Proctor technique, the Matt Proctor studio. I studied at the Matt Proctor Studio of Acting. I'm an acting guru, okay? I'm a performance guru, okay? I've helped a lot of people turn on and amp up as artists. I've helped a lot of people succeed and take it to the next level as artists. Come to the Matt Proctor Studio of Performance. You need to rest your fight or flight response, so you go to these open mics, you're around people, there's an expectation to socialize, make connections, which I love, but I also love to be alone and to be at home. And I don't know, I think reading, we're moving towards a post-literate society. This is something I wanted to talk about. We're moving toward a post-literate society. The only reading people are going to do is subtitles. And, well, I don't know. People read posts and shit. People read, articles online. People read tweets. I don't think reading's going to go away. You're still going to need to be... But Trump was the first post-literate president. Apparently, Trump doesn't know how to read. So apparently he was ahead of the curve. He was avant-garde even in that sense. He was post-literate. He watches TV, and movies, probably. Trump, watches fucking Fox News all day. And he also watches movies, I think. The Godfather. Who did I see him with recently? There was some actor or something, and he, knew, or he referenced some movie or something. I think Trump, with technology, it's like water finds its level. People do not want to read, okay? They're going to take the easiest way out. They're going to take the path of least resistance. That's watching movies. That's getting, spoon-fed their stories. People need their comfort viewing. That's what podcasts are, conversation, verbal food, verbal minerals, discourse. People are hungry for discourse, and I think we're moving into a place where more people can contribute visually and more writers. I don't know. Readings, I guess I have a subconscious hostility towards books because I feel so rejected by that culture. I sort of walked into New York with this blind, like everybody, you think you're just going to knock them dead. And don't get me wrong, I'm proud of my reading. I think I think it deserves consideration, and I think I've proven myself in a lot of ways, actually. It takes longer to do it without any help, or to do it alone, or to take the road less traveled. To invent a path, basically. To invent a school. The school of life. The New York school. The thing about the New York school is it's real life. I think I literally learned in the New York school, and that I learned everything I fucking know from New York City. It's just a big campus. I learned everything I know from open mics, from talking to people on the street, from talking to people in clubs and bars, not really in classrooms. I haven't actually been in that many fucking classrooms here. I meet people in bars, in clubs, in bookstores, I guess, if they do a reading there. I'm excluded from that shit too. I don't really read in bookstores that often. And so I kind of have I don't like the snobbishness and the exclusivity of literary culture. And I just think the wrong people have power and have geography, There's way more interesting stuff out there, And a lot of bland shit, is in control right now. There's a lot of bland, safe, predictable shit. And I do it my way, and it's hard, And I probably make it as hard for myself as possible. When I was in high school on the tennis team, I never made it past JV. I was never that good at tennis. But I played with a wooden tennis racket. Because it was stylish. I liked it. It was like a Wes Anderson prop to me. Okay, well, I don't want to start watching because I want to roll a J, but I'm going to get off pretty soon. It was like a Wes Anderson. I get to feel like some kind of, I don't know, like East Coast aristocrat glass family person because I had this wooden tennis racket. But you could buy them cheap. You know, like at Play It Again Sports, you get a wooden tennis racket like cheap. So that was, it was like thrifting, right? It's like vintage. It was analog. Whereas, like, you know, a tennis racket you get at fucking Target or it's like this metal, like, head. You know, it's like fiber, or I don't even know, it's titanium or some shit. And the sweet spot is massive. Like golf clubs, you know, golf clubs now, like John Daly said, you know, your 5-wood is the size of his driver that he used to use in the 90s, you know? It's like golf clubs are fucking massive now. But my theory was like, well, I'll use the wooden tennis racket to train with. Because then when I use the titanium, I'll be way better. Because I've used this thing that, like, you get better, you know? So you make it hard for yourself, make the sweet spot smaller. So it's like, I don't know, I aim small with, like, everything, you know? And I sort of, you know, like at open mics, I'm afraid. I don't want to go to an open mic and, like, I mean, I do, but some nights it's a lot of pressure to get in front of like 40 people or whatever and to get up first or something. Some nights it's nice to go on late when there's nobody there. I mean, Dave Attell always goes on last. That's pretty cool, I think, in a way. It's like how many people, it's like, it's kind of nice playing the late, smoky, more, you know, you get the dedicated people and you still get people listening. You know, a lot of my best work I do at the end of the open mic on Monday because I'm free to do whatever I want. I feel like I can go crazy because there's always like not that many people there. But the people there kind of help me tap into something. You know, like having people like Jason King or Lawrence Reese, whoever might be there, Danny Fallon, listening to you. You trust them as an audience, what they respond to you. And so I've learned a lot. And honestly, a lot of my best performances are at the end of the fucking open mic when nobody sees it. The beginning, it's like, I'm more nervous. I'm more just, you know, I'm also focused on trying to run the show and all that kind of shit. And the lineup and blah, blah, blah. So it's like I've got, you know, I've kind of got to do both things at once. So it's a little bit of a split focus. And so, you know, and most of the time at the beginning, it's like I'll do something that's a little more traditional. You know, my performances with System Lord were pretty fucking wild. And I started to do that with comedy, but people got really weirded out. That's why I started doing comedy, because it's like at System Lord and at my music shows, people were telling me they were laughing. You know, I did a fucking show. I did a show at Pete's Candy Store on Valentine's Day. That was like a music show, and these ladies were telling me they were crying from laughing.
What does that mean?
And so I was like, you know, I'll just fucking go do that at an open mic comedy, and people be crying from laughing. But it's like with comedy, it's like people are super uptight. Or if you do it any way other than like the way you're supposed to do it, which is just like you're supposed to write jokes, you're supposed to be kind of dry and quiet and like smug, and like you're supposed to pace everything. Like you go in with tons of energy, bouncing all over the place, you know, just kind of spieling, and people fucking come after you. All right, well, anyway, we're trying to pioneer a new space. We're trying to make new things possible. Thank you for watching. It's John Cocteau, everybody. Great filmmaker, great poet filmmaker. An inspiration, you know. I'm a poet filmmaker. Like Pasolini, like Cassavetes, like Wim Wenders, like Herzog, like Wes Anderson. Who else? Nicholson. You could end the scene there. Then he says, she fell funny. Now you could end the scene there. Then she says, hey, I want to fuck her again. I hope people know what I'm talking about. Has people seen that viral video? Matt Damon talking about Nicholson, the writer. Nicholson as writer, as poet, as dramatist. All right, well, thank you for watching, everybody. Come out to the fucking telethon on Sunday, you know. Perform on a rooftop, you know. It's going to be a party. It's going to be party time. Excellent. And then come out Monday. If you don't come out Sunday, come out Monday. Come out both. Peter Glissman's doing both. You know, we got all the fucking stars coming out. I will get back to your messages. I'm sorry I'm way behind on messages. You know, like, subscribe, tell your friends. I don't know. Maybe I'll try to go to an open mic if there's anything fun out there. Maybe I'll try to get something today or tomorrow. But thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day. See, now everybody's watching. That's what they do. See, I'm convinced that YouTube doesn't show my video to more people until I do 2 hours. I think I have to do 2 hours and then they start to like pipe people in. Because it's always like right around the 2 hour mark that I get way more people coming in. They're trying to entice me to do more, to give them more content, to do them. I can't, my phone is literally about to die. I'd love to do a live stream encore. You know, I'd love to do an encore on my live stream. I know people want more kvetching and rumination and solipsism and public. I think Saturday Night Live is like the funny pages of movie America video. You know, like Saturday Night Live is like, it's like comic strips. It's the same size, sketch comedy. They're like cartoonists. They're like comic, you know, it's like the funny pages of written kind of theater performance, right? Sketch review. All right, well, anyway, that's my last thought of the day. You know, follow me on social media. I gotta blow up like now. You know, I need to be making $2,000 a month off the internet like right now so I can get my own apartment. Or I guess it'd be even more than $2,000 a month. I need to be making like $4,000 a month or something. So send help, donate. Please, God, for just $4,000 a month, you could sponsor an avant-garde artist in New York City. You could sponsor my entire dirtbag assault. You know, think about how many people I'm not tooting my horn or anything, but think about how many people that Easy Paradise has platformed and helped boost and helped along their way as artists. You know, you know, that's worth supporting. You're supporting all of that. You know, you're supporting this flourishing. Yeah. I love doing it. To me, it is like the acting studio. It's where I can really, like, even Mike Nichols, man. I saw, when I wanted to move to New York in college and shit, I saw Mike Nichols, like, had a fucking acting class in Manhattan. You know, it's like this dude's directing Hollywood movies and shit, and he still keeps teaching, like, a small studio in, like, a black box theater. I think that's pretty cool. You know, Cassavetes, same thing. Like, he had, like, a fucking, like, acting class. And I don't know, it's interesting developing a relationship with the audience, you know. I'm starting to get interesting responses from the audience where it's like people are familiar with me and it's more of a dialogue, you know. It's become something that I feel I feel like comfortable. It's like normal for me to be in conversation with that room because it feels like such a, you know, I feel comfortable there, right? And also when I go to other places, I feel comfortable, you know, being in front of an audience a little bit more. It's a weird thing to take responsibility to be like, okay, everybody, I'm going to lead us through this moment of our lives, and hopefully you'll have something that you can carry away from it. But it's very special, to be honest, to go to all these open mics, to go to these performances and just have that deep of a perception of another person, you know? in all these different locations, different neighborhoods. It's very honest and it's very local. You know, I think all culture is local. It gets overshadowed by Adam Sandler and mega blockbuster culture. But the real culture is the open mics. It is the cabarets. It is the zines and the live streams and face-to-face, the scene, you know, the social group. That's, you know, as great as it is to be popular online and to monetize it, it's like having a social membrane that you're a part of and a family in that way is like it's priceless. You know, it's irreplaceable. And that's what we have, you know, as performers, and that's what's exciting about New York is it's just this, it's so alive with this firecrackers going off everywhere of performance and open mics and entertainment. The entertainment industry is alive and well in New York City. We're cranking it out. Thank you for watching the content, everybody. Keep making content, keep supporting each other's content, keep giving good content. I'm gonna go get a Smack Burger. We're brought to you by Smack Burger. Come to the Labor Day Telethon at the local hostel, Long Island City, 5 p.m. Sunday. I'll be there. Koozie Daddy will not be there. I gotta find an iPad somehow. He's at Burning Man. System Lord, I think, is also out of town, so who the fuck knows? I don't even know. I'll probably just do a talk piece. I'm gonna do a 2-hour set, so come out for that. Matt Proctor live. I'm gonna do a Rollins-esque spoken word piece. All right, thank you for watching. Have a great night, everybody. We'll talk soon. Maybe I'll get back on later. I'll probably get back.